Hi, y'all. Happy Friday. Hope you all are having a good Friday tonight. I am. I have not watched this Don Lemon interview with Shannon Sharp's lawyer, but I'm curious about it because, when we first got that immediate reaction from Shannon's lawyer, I just thought, where did he get this lawyer from? Like, lawyers are us or what? But from what I understand, this guy's supposed to be a top notch lawyer. So I wanted to look at Don Lemon's interview and react to it, and I thought I'd live stream it with y'all. And I'm multitasking, so let's hope that's good for this live because I got the Boston Orlando game on, waiting for the Lakers game to come on, and the Boston Orlando game is really good though. Score 88-91, Orlando leading by two. It's the fourth quarter with 3:14 left, and so while I'm doing that and preparing to watch this or react to Don Lemon's interview, I also am sipping on Bacardi Lime mixed with Minute Maid lemonade and crushed ice. So it's a vibe. But let's get into this interview and see what Shannon Sharp's lawyer is talking about.
All right, everyone, thank you for joining. 5 o'clock on the nose. We're so glad that you are here. This is Lemon Live at 5, the Don Lemon Show. You know how it works here in streaming. Make sure you hit the like, the thumbs up, the algorithm, because it affects the algorithm and more people become aware of our channel and they get to hear what we're talking about today, because today is a very interesting and important subject that is in the zeitgeist today that just about everyone is talking about. I'm getting texts all over the place. What is going on with Shannon Sharp? What do you know? And so we're going to introduce his attorney and we're going to find out in just moments. Okay, so good evening. Welcome to the program. Appreciate you joining us. Do we have a show for you today? In case you missed our hot topics this morning, I want to quickly catch you up on the Shannon Sharp. It's the Super Bowl champion and host of Club Shay Shay. He's been accused of sexual assault in a Nevada lawsuit, okay? That suit was brought by a woman who alleges that Sharp used his fame to, quote, manipulate, control, these are her words, and subjugate and violate women. The accuser was 19 years old at the time when she met Sharp. That was back in 2023, says.
Now, y'all know those are not the accuser's words. I'm just saying, it may be the accuser's lawyer's words, but those are not her words. That girl probably doesn't know what any of those words mean.
In a legal filing that the pair had a nearly 2-year relationship, during which time Mr. Sharp was, quote, aggressive and allegedly violated her, raped her. Okay, that's what she's alleging. So Mr. Sharp has denied the allegations and said that he is a target of a shakedown. So let's bring in Shannon Sharp's attorney, the famed Lanny Davis, who's represented just a number of high-profile people, and I've worked with Lanny for years, at least, interviewing him for clients that and the stories that he's been involved in. Lanny, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Don.
So, Lanny, what is going on here? Because we have, you know what has happened. She's accused him. I read that. You have this salacious text messages. You've got the phone calls, and we'll play some of that in a minute. But where are we? And then we have the breaking news that he is stepping aside from ESPN. So where are we? What is going on here?
Well, let me at least add to the words stepping aside and start with that, and then I'll answer your question, if you don't mind, Don. He's stepping aside. He's elected to step aside to take care of his family and to deal with this blackmail filled with lies by this individual.
Do y'all believe that? Do y'all think that Shannon has elected to step aside? I don't believe that. I believe ESPN has allowed Shannon to save face, and they've allowed him to kind of lead this way. But I definitely don't believe he just stepped aside on his own. Now, I do think he's hoping that somehow there could be some miraculous cleanup before football season, and maybe he can return to ESPN because I think Shannon Sharp has helped their ratings since he's been there, especially with First Take. So, yeah, but I'm not buying that he just voluntarily stepped aside. I think ESPN allowed him to save face.
Individual who uses OnlyFans to make money and to act out in role playing. But the reason that's relevant is that we are going to counter claim and file suit against her. She will be under oath, and we will show that what I'm saying is true. She's lying about anything other than consensual sex. There was never anything but consensual sex. The reason we sent out her own words, her own text messages, is that she often asked for rough sex. She, in a text message that we just recently put online, she said, "I want to be in a dog collar. Daddy, I want your black."
Wow. So they're doubling down on all of that. So see, this is the thing. I mean, I guess the lawyer is doing what the lawyer is supposed to do. I mean, legally, maybe all of this will. Oh, somebody's hurt on the Celtics team. Okay, I'm distracted. But legally, yeah, it may be all, it was consensual and all of that because, we're going to see what the deal is because it very well may have all been consensual, right? But from a public perception perspective, you're 56, 57 years old. When you met this girl, she was 19. And I don't care if the 19 or 20-year-old, because this girl was just in high school like a year or two ago, is asking you for rough sex or whatever. You need to find somebody else to play those games with. So, again, for a matter of public perception, it's going to scar him a little bit. So I think big contracts like big corporations like Disney and folks like that, ESPN, they're not going to be able to stay around you. At least right now, it's too hot right now. But luckily for Shannon, he has his podcast and his stuff on YouTube that he totally controls. So he won't suffer any harm there unless he loses sponsors. But his numbers are so big, he'll probably still be fine. And people are going to sponsor and advertise with him because he does have numbers that are so big. But again, things can be legal and still be immoral, in my opinion.
Black babies. She has been role playing on OnlyFans. She was role playing and asked for this with Mr. Shannon Sharp. So we are going to prove this in court when we sue her in a counterclaim. But I'm saying on the record, she's lying. We have evidence of her lies from her own words and what she was asking for in the text messages. But we will prove affirmatively what Shannon Sharp said on his Instagram account. He's innocent. There was never a moment of other than consensual sex. And this is about blackmail and a shakedown scheme.
Okay, so people are dialing in at every second, as you know, and streaming. That's what Shannon does. I'm sure you're very aware of it. So we have more people joining us. So I just want to say that we are joined by famed attorney Lanny Davis, who is attorney for Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp's attorney. You guys misspelled attorney. Shannon Sharp's attorney, so we can take it down and put it up, speaks. Okay, so Lanny, the fact that she works for OnlyFans, is that somehow undermine her credibility? I mean, because folks would say, they would call that.
That's a real good question. And I'm so glad Don asked that question because when Shannon read this statement and talked about who she was and she was shaking him down and she's an OnlyFans person, Shannon told us that on purpose because he wanted to change the perception of this girl. He wanted us to say, oh, okay, she's a thought. So we don't really care what happens to a thought. A thought, you still don't have the right to assault a thought if that's what she is and if that's what you did. But they clearly threw that out there about her being on OnlyFans for that to impact public perception of this person who's coming against the much beloved Shannon Sharp. So I'm curious to see what this lawyer says in response to that. I can imagine what he's going to say to that, but that was a great question from Don.
Shaming of some sort, if you know.
No, I absolutely am not.
In the realm of her skirt was too short.
How she decides to earn a living, I'm not making any comment about her decision to use OnlyFans. That's
lies.
Her decision. I'm not criticizing that decision or judging her for that decision. The relevance is fantasy role playing is what, among other things, she does on this particular site, OnlyFans. The fantasy role playing was the explicit sex messages or text messages that we posted that she asked for over and over again, including wearing a dog collar and engaging in non-traditional forms.
It's something about the way he's saying she asked for it that's not sounding right to me. This is where I think these people need to be very careful because you don't know if this even gets as far as a jury, and if it's a jury of women and men, you just don't know how he's saying that might even resonate with women because he said that now more than once. And we all know what he's trying to say, that Shannon didn't do anything. This is something she wanted to partake in. This is something she did on OnlyFans. But what she also said in some of her statements, and again, I'm not defending her or Shannon because at the end of the day, I think they both got some shit going on. Okay. But what she said previously through her lawyer is that they were in a relationship, so they were engaged in rough sex and that kind of things. But there was a few times where she said no, and he did it anyway, and it wasn't a part of the game. That's what she's claiming. Okay, and Shannon, please.
Terms of sex. So it's consistent with my statement, which we will prove that she's a liar, that she engaged as the news of his success and future contracts came to her attention. She took advantage to leverage the possibility of her getting paid, and she blackmailed him. And we are suing her, and we will prove that this was a scheme to blackmail involving secret taping, and we will prove that Mr. Sharp is telling the truth.
Now, I was going to try to react to this whole video, but honestly, at this point, I don't know how much more of this I could take. Because, secretly recording. See, Shannon, I'm sorry. Shannon, you had the Instagram situation. You tried to explain to us and nobody bought your explanation. Now you claim that she was secretly recording, and that may be true. But this is where I say again, Shannon, at your old age, you are really, really dumb. Okay. At your age, with everything you have to lose, your profile as a public person and a person of fame, and you have so much to lose, and you see what goes on, period. You should assume at all times that it's likely somebody is recording, especially when you're engaging and risky behavior, that if the person did want to claim something, because they could, it's going to be your word against hers. So you should be doing everything in your power to not find yourself in those situations, and because you got a lot to lose. So I don't know if I could get through this whole interview because this lawyer's doing what I guess what he's supposed to do. He is Shannon's lawyer, but I just feel like I'm hearing a bunch of excuses that are just not sitting right with me right now because I'm kind of stuck on your dumb ass. Shannon should not have been anywhere in this space at all for this to happen. Okay. So if capital I, capital F, if this lady is setting you up, I can't even receive that in my spirit because to me, you set yourself up.
Truth that he was never, ever involved in anything other than consensual sexual activity privately between two adults.
Okay, so let's some of these things that we have. I want to play this recorded phone call because this is the first thing that came out after she filed the suit. And then you and I will talk about it. This is a call between Gabby, right? She was Jane Doe. Now she has been identified as Gabby, but she has a different name on OnlyFans, correct?
Yes, Carly, I believe, but she has several aliases. One of them is Carly.
Yeah, and Shannon Sharp references that in his response that she's Carly on OnlyFans. Okay, so this is the first thing that came out. This is a recorded phone call. Take a listen, everybody.
Well, you're coming to LA tomorrow?
Yes.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it, Gabby.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
And then I think another one of these recordings with Shannon, Gabby says something and he says, "Okay, what?" The way he said that on this recording and the other, it felt like it was some kind of role play between them. That's what it felt like. Like they had their pattern, they knew how they went about the game and all of that. That's what it sounded like role play to me.
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Yeah, I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
That's so dumb. He want to play. What is it? They call it race play. Somehow I'm not surprised that he would get a kick out of race play.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did with the shit you did to me.
Okay,
I just want to hear at this point what his lawyer is going to say after this. I already know y'all. There's no way I can make it through this whole interview because.
Okay, so put this into context for me, Lanny. What precipitated this, and what's the context of this particular phone call?
Thank you. The lawyer who represents this Zuniga is well known for putting things out of context and posting a secretly taped telephone call without posting a text message where she has a collar around her neck and she says, "Choke me," and without posting all the other examples of fantasy role playing that she asked for involving choking and other forms of non-traditional sex, is a deliberate part of the scheme to blackmail. She didn't tell Mr. Sharp that she was taping. She does secret taping. We have certain evidence that a tape that she's going to use as part of her blackmail attempt was heavily edited. And when we asked to see a copy of it to determine whether it was edited, she and her lawyer said no. Now, this out of context telephone call, you can hear her voice. Her voice is not somebody who is afraid of being choked. In fact, Mr. Shannon Sharp never, ever choked her. After this telephone conversation, they had many times of consensual sex.
Now, I think that's a reach for us, for him to think that we're going to believe that. I mean, clearly they were in the rough sex. So, and I think it's a reach also to say that she doesn't sound like she's afraid of being choked. Now, I'm going to tell you, if I had to put money on it, I think this girl is definitely up to some stuff. But, that doesn't really matter to me because if Shannon is so dumb to be in this situation, fine. But I don't know how you could tell somebody's clearly not afraid of being choked, or I don't know how any lawyer could say he never choked her. I mean, they're clearly into very rough sex and role play and race play. So, what do you think that includes? Come on now.
The apartment in Las Vegas. She followed him to Las Vegas when he moved there. The apartment had 3 or 4 different secure access points. She had to come down with her telephone to open the gates. She welcomed him into her apartment with all that security. And this whole telephone conversation is consistent with what we put online, which is the desire for fantasy role playing, similar to what she does on OnlyFans.
Okay, so I'm going in order of as things happen. So that phone call came out, the lawsuit was filed, that phone call came out, and then you guys responded with releasing the text messages. Am I correct with that?
To provide context to this distorted drip by drip release of her secretly recorded telephone calls to try to suggest that Shannon Sharp ever did anything but consensual sex. All the text messages, all her activity after this alleged event that she's referring to were all consensual, and we will prove that.
Okay. So then, but his response came after you put out the text messages, right? His on-camera response. That was later, or which one came first?
No, well, he immediately, I think you're referring to his Instagram comment. I think that was a few days before we finally collected the text messages and posted them online.
All right, Lanny, let's listen to some of what he said. This is Shannon Sharp's response.
Thank you.
My family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys.
It is unusual. I mean, this is a different day and age, Lanny. I mean, you and I are old enough to remember where you didn't, the lawyer either responded or it was no comment. But we're in a different age now. Why do you feel it was necessary? Why did Shannon feel it was necessary? And I'm sure he ran this by his representatives to get in front of this and get it on camera.
Well, I'm his lawyer, and he's been sued with vicious lies that are contained in the lawsuit filed by this Mr. Busby. And we're going to be suing her as a counterclaim, and we will prove she's lying. But then I said myself to Shannon Sharp, you need to talk to your family, your friends, your fans, everybody who watches ESPN, because you are telling the truth. The truth is on your side. And when you say it yourself, rather than me or somebody else saying it, you will be believed. And I asked,
No, I don't think that was the outcome of what Shannon said. I think from what I can assess from how people are reacting to this story, I think a lot of people think that this lady is trying to make a money grab. I think there's a lot of people who think that way. But it almost feels to me that probably more people, though, are on the side of your dumb ass should not have been in this situation. And I feel like more people are kind of on that vibe more than anything else. And there's a good bit of people who are kind of cautioning everyone to just say, just because somebody is an OnlyFans model or lives a certain lifestyle, or even if you think she is trying to, grab the bag or whatever, that doesn't mean she could not be assaulted. And so, but there is not any sense for public perception that I could tell from all the stuff I've seen in response to this whole debacle, that the public at large has taken the position of, oh no, Shannon would never. I can't believe that is not the overwhelming sentiment at all. It is really torn, and like I said, as many people who may feel like, oh yeah, she's trying to make a money grab, I think even more people feel like, Shannon Sharp, how could you find yourself in this situation? And then when people start digging into Shannon's past, it's like, this isn't the first time either you've been in a situation like this. So why haven't you even learned from being in situations like this in the past? So no, I don't think what his lawyer is saying here, that he urged him to get out in front of his people, family, friends, fans, because once he spoke to them, they would be like, okay, yeah, we were rocking with you, Shannon. Nah, the response did not go that way.
ask everybody to find that. It's on formerly known as Twitter, X, and you can watch him. And I said to him, Shannon, the television camera quickly detects somebody who's not authentic and doesn't lie. I'm kind of an expert in that subject. you will come across as telling the truth because you are telling the truth. So I hope everybody watches that tape. The jury will be seeing Shannon testify. And then when she's on the witness stand, which she must be because she filed the lawsuit, she will be asked to explain the text messages asking for fantasy role playing, asking to be choked, asking for a dog collar, asking for his, quote, black babies. This was all a plan, taped, manipulated, extortion, blackmail scheme. And we will prove that in court when we sue her in a counterclaim and she's under oath.
Okay, so a couple of things. You said that you know that from experience. You want to explain to the audience why you know that? Because you've had some high-profile cases.
Yes, I have.
Okay, I can't watch any more of this interview. The last part we just listened to where the lawyer said, basically, once she has to get on stand and basically explain why was she asking for all of this rough sex stuff that, then we'll see how all of that shakes out, right? That again feels to me like he is thinking, and this may work because this is why a lot of women, just everyday women, okay, not only fan models, but again, no matter what your profession is, you could be assaulted, okay? But this is why a lot of women don't come forward, even when they're not only fan models, because the strategy normally includes some kind of way of trying to shame the woman. Why were you out so late? Why were you walking outside by yourself? What were you wearing? That type of thing. And with this lady being an OnlyFans model, you could tell from how he's talking, including the couple of times he said she asked for this, the rough sex, that it is going to be their strategy to basically shame her on the stand. Now, if Shannon was smart and if this lawyer was smart, what they would do, first of all, is get a woman attorney as a part of this team, definitely by the time it's ready to go to trial, because that's going to look real crazy for these men to be basically trying to shame this teenager now in her, 20, 21, 22, something like that she is, trying to shame her on the stand. I don't know if that's going to work for Shannon. Again, it's going to depend on the makeup of the jury, but I can feel where they're trying to go with the shaming of this person. Like, how dare the audacity to even take this person's word over Shannon? This is Shannon Sharp. How dare you believe the OnlyFans model? And that might come back to bite them in the you know what. I have listened to as much of this interview as I can. So I am going to end this stream. I may start a stream to talk about Sinners because I finally went to go see the movie Sinners. It was so good. I feel as if I am still processing that movie. So I can't wait for it to be set up somewhere where I can stream it because I need to watch it again. But yeah, that's all I got for this particular interview. If Don Lemon has a great channel over there, I think he has like over 600,000 subscribers. So please, go check out his channel, subscribe. I always like to call out anybody's channel, even somebody who's high profile like Don Lemon, when I react to their content. So, all right, may see y'all in a few minutes. Bye.